Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at another Master Grade, and this is a Master Grade fighting action. Of course, this is from the unmistakable series G Gundam, and this is the Shining Gundam. If you haven't seen it already, I did take a look at the Master Grade Master Gundam. I had a lot to say about that because these are some old kits, but hey, maybe they're starting to grow on me, just maybe. Possibly. I guess we're about to find out. So starting right off with what we get inside of the box right here. Let's take a quick peek at it first actually. This kit is from 2002, so that makes it an almost 20-year-old kit. And like you can see right there on the side of the box, this has some fighting action. So that means it was one of the first ever kits to come with a full inner frame. So this is obviously painted, you can tell, because that right there is what it looks like unpainted. And around then on the other side, we've got a front and rear view of it in super mode, a front view of it in normal mode, an action frame because this was one of the first ever kits with a full inner frame, beam swords, markings, Corelander, and of course a figure of Domon, which looks like this. So first, cracking open that box to see what we've gotten here, and here is the Master Grade Shining Gundam with absolutely everything that it comes with. So what we've got in here is the Corelander, some alternate head parts which are rubberized, the two beam swords, a multitude of hands. The grey ones are rubberized, the green ones are UV reactive. We've got alternate face parts for battle and super mode, some sticker style decals, some color correcting stickers, and finally this is a build that does involve screws, so if you don't like screws in your inner frame, you may not like this kit. Also, not to forget that little rubber Domon. So jumping right on into the aesthetics, and not forgetting the Corelander here, Shining Gundam won't look quite right without that in there anyway, as I was saying. So I will mention right off the bat, it is obvious, but this kit is 20 years old, so that does mean it isn't up to modern Master Grade standards whatsoever. So let's just talk about it as it is, and try to focus a little more on its merits than its failings. So first off, I have to say it does look quite good. This once again is straight built, just one snip off the runner, and for the most part, knobs aren't that bad. The only ones that really show up are the ones up on the shoulders. You can see how over on this side, I've noticed that they were pretty rough and got a little bit more careful over on this side. Once again, they will mark no matter what you do unless you're super careful, so be careful with those. Also, there are some seam lines here and there like you're seeing on the forearm right here, and same on the other side, but those are not the worst really. Besides that, the color separation is not that bad at all. Back in 2002, this must have been an absolutely mind-blowing kit. The only thing that is a little bit, well, gimmicky about this kit right here is that big old crystal in the chest. Man, they liked those crystals back in the 90s. But yeah, this is just kind of like a rubberized little sticker, and it doesn't really take too much to kind of end up knocking that off. And of course, the minute I say that, it won't want to come off. This is just a sticker, and when you're handling this, this can come off sometimes, except the time that I say it, of course. But we'll see just how long you last throughout this review. But yeah, I will mention it is quite cool to look at. It's just the stick could be a little bit better, so you may want to glue that on permanently. However, I will mention, when it comes to the color, that a lot of the yellow sections on this kit, like in the shoulders, inside the arms, and inside the legs, are meant to be in gold, not yellow. So if you want that in gold, you're gonna have to paint it. But anyway, jumping into that full 360 spin so you can see absolutely every angle of this kit. Once again, the color separation is quite nice. We've got those machine guns in the upper chest in yellow. We've got some nice layering of parts like in the venting section on the front skirting armor. So once again, for an older kit, this isn't so bad at all. Design-wise, however, it just doesn't capture the absolute majesty that is the Shining Gundam for me. For example, if I pop this right here and pop an image of the Shining Gundam on the right here, it just doesn't kind of have the oomph that mobile suit design has. Once again, awesome for its time, and definitely a kit that I would love to see a 2.0 of. And while I actually have this beside me right here, here is the high resolution God Gundam. Just stand there, okay? Just for the sake of comparison of modern versus old. Of course, this is a high resolution kit, so quite different from a Master Grade in a lot of ways. It's got an action figure for an inner frame, lots of shiny plastic, and a complete redesign of the mobile suit, but it would be nice to see something a little more modern for this kit right here. Also, I do have the Master Grade Fighting Action God Gundam in my backlog, so it'll be nice to see that side by side with the high resolution right here. So now moving on to those accessories, and once again jumping right back to the beginning of the video so you can see the overview of everything in here. Now let's take a look at everything one by one. So yeah, as usual with these particular kits, the hands that we've got are actually rubbery. I'll also mention they are quite easy to knock off while posing it, which can be a little bit annoying at times. But yeah, and here we've got a pair of fists, a pair of karate chopping hands, and of course we've got that yep, that shining finger. I'll also mention that these are UV reactive, so I do not have a UV light, but if those are reacting that well to just some blue LEDs, then you just know that they're gonna fluoresce like crazy under an actual UV light. This looks really good. Really gotta hand it to Bandai for this. In order to swap out the hands, it's the usual ball joint affair. You just pop them out like this, pop them in like that, and there you go. Lastly then, here we've got a pair of rubber holding hands. So that is blowing my mind. I don't know how well these will work. They're just like your standard high-grade holding hands, which is split in half. Let's just do that. So I started popping these in the usual sandwich style hand way until I realized you don't even need to do that. You can just kind of push them in and pull them out. We've got a long beam saber with a long handle and a short beam saber with a short handle. The usual Shining Gundam thing. I also noticed while looking on the side of the box that we also have these little stickers in here which are for sticking onto the blades of these to replicate the intro segment where the Shining Gundam pulls out the beam saber and says G Gundam on them. That's such a classic scene. But yeah, this sticker, it doesn't really look the greatest. There's a big edge on it. You could try cutting it out. But honestly, I cannot see this kind of sticker holding up over time. Anyway, there's an example of what the beam sabers look like attached. And when they're not in use, in usual gunpla fashion, you can just pop out the beams and then you can store them, this time on the side skirting armor, just like you're seeing right here. And just like with a lot of this kit, they hold in with that sort of old school, robust, not going anywhere kind of feel. Lastly in here, what we've got is some extra parts. This right here is a rubberized version of the V-fin that we have on Shining Gundam right there. As far as I can see, this is 100% identical, besides the fact that, well, it's rubbery. We also have a rubber variant of the head crest, so once again, exactly the same as what we've got up here, just this time, this one is rubbery. So the last alternate parts we have in here are these face parts for changing it to battle mode, and speaking of which, I think it's about time to do that. So first up, we're going to change it to battle mode. To do that, you just swap out that face we've got. It can be a little bit tough to get out at first. You need to get in under there. Once you got it off, you just pop on those two alternate parts which display the face open. That is what it looks like. There's a bit of a close-up. And finally then we can just flip out the rear sections of the forearms like this. And there we go, that's what it looks like in battle mode. So to get it to super mode, you just flip up the shoulder armor like this and flip out the sides of the legs like this. Oh, and of course, don't forget to flip out all this jazz up on the top of its head. By the way, if you're the guy who said to me on Instagram that the bottom ones are on upside down, thank you, wouldn't have noticed. So anyway, there's the full 360 spin of what this looks like in super mode. Of course, there is a full gold version available as well if you can get your hands on that. And also it is side by side right now with the standard normal mode of this particular model kit. So I guess that's enough about the accessories. It's time to move on to that articulation. So as you would expect from an older kit, the articulation is not its strongest aspect, so let's buzz through it quite quickly. There's the head looking all the way up. As we're looking all the way down, it might as well be looking straight ahead. Side to side kind of angles the head upward a little awkwardly, and with the faceplate section open, it really does kind of block off of everything, which isn't the most awesome. At the shoulder, we've got a forward movement like so it can move out like that, move back as far as there. We also have that full rotation. Next up, there's the arm raised all the way up. Incredibly stiff, but not so bad. It didn't happen on camera, but it did happen. I lost that gem off the chest. Get that right back on there. Full rotation at the upper arm, a 2-point bend at the elbow, getting it all the way up to the shoulder, very nice, but once again, incredibly stiff. There are screws in there. This armor section right here can rotate all the way around the forearm, and the wrist is your standard ball joint. However, a little bit thicker than usual. At the waist, we've got a lot of pivot on a ball joint, side to side, forward and back, and rotation from there to there. There it goes again. Get back on there, you're losing more stick every time. Front skirting armor moves up, not much. You can kind of force it a little higher. Side skirting moves ever so slightly forward like this and rotates to the back like so. Believe it or not, we've got a somewhat premium butt flap. Inside the hips, they're just old school ball joints. And as for the kicks, there they are all the way up to the front, then all the way out to the back. And as for the splits, that right there is all that we get. So that's his best kick. Fighting action, you say? Although that section right there looks like it might rotate, it most certainly does not. Excuse me, what just happened? The bend at the knee is actually pretty decent. It doesn't look terribly, well, nice when it's bent, but it does bend a lot. And now getting that foot on the ground to check out what it can do. So there it is all the way to the back. The armor's trying to separate, so that's it. Then there it is all the way to the front. That armor did come off. Back on there once again, all the way to the front. And as for the side-to-side pivot, it's there to there, and not the worst, but not the best. Next up then, we do have a forward bend at the toe, which is always nice. And I totally forgot earlier on, as part of the transformation, this part goes down like so. And we got a bit of wiggly armor here that doesn't do a whole lot. Also, the bottom of the foot here, just like we saw with the Master Gundam, is in rubber. So it does grip onto the table quite nicely. So yeah, that right there is it for the review, and I know a lot of you guys aren't the biggest fan of me ranking an older kit because it does a little bit of a disservice for something that did so much for the evolution of gunpla. So once again, I only really recommend a kit like this if you really want to see what master grade kits came from, what they were like almost 20 years ago, or if you want some of that nostalgic old school gunpla feel. But by today's standards, this is a brown tier kit, so if you're looking for something awesome, something modern, something that'll blow your mind, and something that is an absolutely fantastic out-of-box kit, this of course is not it. But if you want a Shining Gundam in 1/100 scale for just standing there on your shelf, it will look pretty good, especially if you put in a little bit of extra effort. Once again though, out of box, it's a very classic master grade. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. As always, I cannot end this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys for watching this video, for dropping a like, subscribing, and of course to each and every one of you that supports me over on the channel memberships or over on Patreon, like Craig Jerry, Tyler Sanders, the ambassador for Asymmetric Cats, Caleb Engelhart, Sean T, and Brian Perez.